Hello, everyone. I am Michaela L. Carson, and this is Talk About It Tuesday. I am an author and author coach, and this month I have Cathy McIntosh joining us to talk about marketing strategies. We are going to focus in on fiction. I know we don't always get a lot of content from my fiction writers, so we want to do that, but there are some overlaps. So if you write nonfiction, this is going to be good for you also. We're just really excited to share with you our experiences, our background, our knowledge. So Cathy, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I am Cathy McIntosh. I am an author. I'm also a marketing strategist, and I'm story brand certified. So I've really learned to use the power of story to influence my marketing message and help clients do the same. So when you introduce story into your marketing strategies, all of a sudden you have just a different level of conversations that happen with your audience and with your readers. And I find that it's a tremendous tool to help people connect with what you're doing, and they start to see themselves in the work that you do. And that it's just a very, very powerful strategy to work through. So that's what I do in a nutshell. I have written Bible studies, nonfiction books, and I am just releasing my very first fiction novel. So I'm extremely excited about that. That comes out next month.
That is exciting. And I love that you talk about story because I think a lot of us feel like marketing, we're trained to write, we know how to write, we don't know how to market. But when we bring story into marketing, we're leaning into the gifts we have as writers. So it actually makes it a lot more comfortable and a lot less intimidating and scary. So I want to definitely lean into that today because it is
Yes,
especially when you're publishing your first book, it's a very intimidating thing, the marketing side.
it
So
certainly can be. Yes.
I think that one of the things that was interesting for me, and we've done some talks about this with different people in different parts of the journey and the process of writing, but marketing doesn't start when you publish your book.
Correct. Well, it
How?
shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't.
If it doesn't start
Yeah,
at that
okay.
particular point.
It can, but it's not
It
best
can.
for you or your
Right.
your message
Right.
if you wait till that point. Um,
Right.
I know a lot of the writers I work with are nearing the end of their projects and things like that. So, in your professional opinion and experience, where do you think marketing should start?
I think marketing should start the minute that you begin to have an idea that you want to write about. This is really the point in time when you um, cement the message that you have, and you start to move toward wanting to be known for a particular topic. So that's when you should really start to hone in your message and start talking about the topic that you're going to be writing about.
So how does that look different for fiction writers? Because sometimes it's not always a topic when you write fiction.
Certainly. And for fiction writers, it starts to build curiosity about what's coming. People want to be entertained. When you're trying to market fiction, instead of trying to solve a problem, you're dealing more with desire and entertainment and things that are intriguing and spur curiosity. So you can start talking then about, oh, I'm going to write a book. And people's ears automatically perk up because about 80% of the people that we talk to think, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. And all of a sudden they're very interested in what you're doing. And believe it or not, that's marketing. Just talking about the process and showing them what you do behind the scenes. And all of that comes into play the minute you start to have your idea and decide to really go for it.
So before we jump too far in, let's talk really quickly about the differences. Because in my mind, there's only really kind of two differences between fiction and nonfiction in marketing. The first one would be your audience. The way you find your audience looks different. And the second one would be kind of how you speak to the issue. With nonfiction, you're speaking to a need. And with fiction, you're speaking more to a desire, like you had mentioned
Right.
before. So
Yeah.
let's unpack that a little bit. What are the key differences in strategies in looking at those two things?
It's really kind of funny because when you write nonfiction, you think, oh my gosh, it would be so much easier to market a fiction book. And when you write fiction, you think, oh my gosh, it would be so much easier if I could just market this as nonfiction. So grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. But when you develop a core message, which is what I talked about, what do you want to be known for? And you start to discipline yourself to talk about those types of things. And I'm speaking on social media and in your online presence, you start to attract the people who need your message. So when it's nonfiction, you're talking about the obstacle that you can help your readers overcome. When it's fiction, you're talking about what their excitement factor is, what they're drawn to. So I'm writing a mystery novel now. Actually, it's finished. I'm no longer in the writing stage, although I keep saying that I'm writing it. But I'm writing a mystery novel. So there's intrigue and curiosity and a puzzle to put together, and it's a murder, and it's this mystery content, right? So I'm not necessarily going to attract people who are romance enthusiasts, right? So you have to know who you're going after and know that you're not going to appeal to anyone, and that's fine. So speak to the audience that you've written it for and be very clear about that. Stop trying to make your message fit all the categories and make it fit the one category that you've really niched down into serving.
I think we do. We get this idea that it's my book is for everyone. And we want it to
Right.
be like, that's the desire of our heart.
We
We
would
want to
love it
change
to be.
everyone with our book. But the
Yes.
reality is, when we try to reach everyone, we're missing the people that we're actually writing to. And so I think, so my background's in communications and marketing, and it's a little different perspective because audience is a really big part of that for me. And so one of the things that I coach with is you need to know where your audience is. If you're writing, YA fantasy, they're probably not on Facebook. So where are those readers? And you want to go to where they are when you're doing your marketing, and you want to be in their space. With fiction and nonfiction, I think there's some value in that too. If you're writing fiction, joining readers groups on Facebook and things like that, where the readers are, is a great way to connect with people as your author page. You don't have to be promoting your book. You're just commenting, and then they're like, oh, I can follow you. And it's that interest like you're talking about that makes a huge difference. But if you're writing, a nonfiction book, of surviving trauma or something like that, then you would want to join groups where those people are, and you want to be part. And the same concept applies. Like, you're just commenting, you're not selling your book, you're just connecting with people, offering, your encouragement, your experience, things like that. But then they see, oh, you're an author, I can follow your page. And so the strategy is the same, but the location changes depending on the audience, I feel like.
It certainly can, yes. And I think you hit the nail on the head. If we can stop thinking about marketing as selling our book and start thinking of marketing as connecting with our readers and really helping them see why they would want to read our book, it's a whole different pressure level when it comes to what you say online. We don't want to feel sleazy. We don't want to feel salesy. We don't want to feel like we're always pushing our wares. But if you can just get in and have natural, authentic conversations, suddenly you can start to feel comfortable with marketing and go, oh my gosh, that really wasn't so bad. I can do that. I can see myself doing that. And people will begin to engage with you more readily because they see you as a person, not just as a selling machine.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we lean into that story part you're talking about. So let's talk about
Uh-huh.
that. How do we use
Yeah.
story to market?
Well, for non, and I know we're focusing on fiction, but for nonfiction, it's no story gets interesting until there's a problem that's presented, right? So for nonfiction audiences, we want to be able to identify what that problem is and speak to that problem. If you're not speaking about the problem, you're not engaging people in what they actually need. Moving over to fiction, it's more of a desire. It's more like a luxury item. Like if someone's out to buy a diamond necklace, let's say, for example, they're not necessarily looking to solve a problem that they're facing in their life. This is a luxury. It's a status symbol. It's entertainment. It's something that makes them feel good to wear and to put on. That's what our fiction books can do. They can help people feel good about escaping reality for a little while, or just being entertained as they sit on their couch and read. So it's a shift in how we talk about that, but we want to talk about why they want to read. Do you like intrigue? Yes, you're going to love my book. Do you like clean topics? Yes, there's not a lot of swearing in this one, or this is a mystery novel that doesn't have a lot of blood and guts and gore in it. That's going to appeal to the right audience. So you want to
Closed
share
door
with them
romance, things like that.
those things like that. Why is it that my book is the one that they're going to want to read? And you could actually be a lot more playful in that and have a lot more fun with it. So again, just a way to connect with readers and introduce them in ways that feels comfortable, authentic, natural.
Okay, so we talked about before your book is ready for release. Like, we want to
Mhm.
start engaging with our audience. We want to find where they are. We want to connect with them. We want to get them following our page. So as we get closer, they start seeing the posts about our book and things like that. Um, how do you amp up for launch? What is your, as you're getting ready for this right now, what does your strategy look like? And then let's also talk about after that, let's talk about kind of, down the road.
Great. Great. One of the biggest things that I've done so far is just start talking about the book. And as I said, the minute I got serious about writing, I started talking about, I'm writing a book, I'm writing a book. People's ears begin to perk up. Typically, what happens when we think about marketing is we confine ourselves to just thinking about the online world, and we can't neglect our offline, real face-to-face world either. So just over the weekend, I had a friends and family pre-launch party, and we had a huge gathering at our house, and we just got to share the excitement and why people want to read this book. And inside my fiction book, I deal a lot with human trafficking issues, and so I was able to talk about the mission behind the story. And I had a room full of people who started really thinking about, oh my gosh, I can share it with these friends and this group of people. And they just got very, very excited, and the energy was very contagious. So don't forget to engage your real life people as well. And gathering all in them in the same room is just a great way to build anticipation, to multiply the energy, to make people think, wow, I have so many people that I can share this with. So that's just a great step to
That's
move
a
on.
great idea too, because I know where we live, brick and mortar bookstores are almost gone.
Yep.
We have one
That's right.
Barnes and Noble and one Christian bookstore.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much it in my area. So like trying to do book signings and things like that, we don't have cute little boutique bookstores. We don't have,
Mhm.
now depending on where you live, if you're in a metro area and things like that, those might be accessible options for you to go into little boutique shops and set up book signings and stuff. But like you said, we work with what we have. So don't be afraid to host something and invite those friends and family. If you're writing nonfiction, don't be afraid to like invite your Bible study friends and your Christian church members and people, bring them into one space, and that excitement does become contagious. I love that. I did not do that with my first book, and I really wish I would have. I was a little too insecure and
Sure.
not quite confident,
Sure.
but I feel like it definitely would have made a difference, not just for them, but for me to
Mhm.
see, I think the marketing would have been a little easier knowing I had these people in my court that I knew one-on-one, but that energy, I didn't get to pick up on it either. So I think
Yep.
that's a great idea.
Yeah. It really does fuel our passion, our energy. It kind of just fuels our mission to know that people are standing beside us and behind us. Um, the interesting thing is we tend to pre-play what we think everybody else is thinking, and that's very rarely true. The truth is, when you say to someone, I'm working on this project, this has been a 7-year project in my case for this fiction work, people are going, there is so much perseverance. I respect you so much. Whether or not I even read your genre, I have mad respect for what you just pulled off and what you did. And I am happy to share it with others. And when I was thinking, they're not going to like it, this isn't necessarily for them, they're thinking, what can we do to help you further your message and share this with groups of people? So stop selling yourself short by thinking you know what they're thinking, and let them support you. Just receive that support, receive that energy, receive that love and that backing from them. It's just a great way to fuel your mission. And then speaking about bookstores that are non-existent now, I live in a small town. It's growing by leaps and bounds, but smaller town outside of the Denver area, and we don't have any bookstores in our town. And but what we do have are a few gift shops who cover and carry a few books, so it doesn't have to be a full-fledged bookstore. But I've got a local retailer in my town who's more than willing to have me come in and do an author event to spread the word around our town. People love the whole local author feel. They love knowing that they can go and shake hands and speak with and meet an author. So again, that's just one more step. Whether or not it's a big bookstore or not, find a place, find a local business that's going to support you, and take the help that you can get in that regard as well.
That's a great idea. And a lot of those boutique stores and small owner type businesses, they'll do consignment. They'll actually
Yep.
carry your product, and then you just
Yep.
go in, and when they sell it, they give you, And if it doesn't sell, you get it back. So,
Yeah.
that's a great cost-effective way to put yourself out there too.
For sure. And when I released my Bible study, again, small towns don't have a lot of bookstores, but there was a used bookstore who was very, very happy to cover and carry my new book on consignment. And I just took a stack to her. She sold it. And we had a book signing event right there in the bookstore, even though it was used books and my book wasn't used. It was brand hot off the press. So
That's awesome.
again, local people love to support and help local people. That's great.
Okay. So now we're up to the launch. Like we're getting ready.
Yep.
It's time.
Yep.
We're doing these events. We're doing all this stuff. What are some successful launch strategies you've used for nonfiction and fiction, that have really helped get that ball rolling right at the beginning?
One thing that you want to do is have a launch team, and this is kind of for the online environment. So ask your friends and family, would you like to be on my, let's call it a Facebook launch team or my Instagram launch team, or just my launch team to where I will give you graphics about my book. And if you can maybe share it once a week for the next 4 weeks on social, that's going to help. So you're giving them graphics, you're giving them words, you're telling them what to say. And then they just share it with their friends and family. Again, it's just this multiplying effect that goes on and on and on, because friends share it with friends, and things can take organic legs and go much farther than they could go if it were just your page. So don't overlook that.
So do you suggest starting that launch team prior to release, like the 4 weeks prior building up? Or
I
do
would
you think
say the
it's
4 weeks prior.
Okay.
Whatever it takes, right? So my goal is to really amp up pre-sales and first week sales. That's really what I'm after. So I'm starting 4 weeks prior to launch, and having that run through the first week that my book is actually available online. If you don't quite start that early, wow, there's no harm in that. It's totally fine. Or if you launched a book 4 years ago and you want to just give it new legs, ask the same question among your friends and say, hey, would you just help me relaunch my book? I really want to get some traction on this again. Something's maybe happened in the news media, or something that people need this book again, and I want to remind them that it's here. Would you be willing to help me spread this mission? So it's kind of one of those timeless principles that really doesn't have to be limited to a certain calendar page in order for you to gain the effect of that.
And again, I think with the launch team too, it's really important to remember, give them what they need. When you just ask a generic ask, it feels like a big weight and a pressure. But if you're like, hey, here's the copy, here's the image, if you could just post this on week 1, this on week 2, that's a lot easier for people, because they want to support you, but they may not be the storyteller or the communicator that you are. And so when you're providing that to them, you're making it easy, and not overwhelming. So I think that's a really
True.
good point too.
And when you're writing your verbiage as well, be careful to not say, I thought this was the best book ever, when you're putting words in their mouth and maybe they don't quite feel that way about the book, but they still want to share it. So don't put those kinds of words in their mouth, but say, this is a book that appeals to you. If you like this, this, and this, or if you're struggling with X, Y, or Z, this is really going to help you. So just pare down that message and tell the things that appeal to your readers. So one great way to find how to describe your book is to look on Amazon at books in a similar genre, and then go look for the 3-star reviews, right? The average Joe reviews, and see what kind of words are being used to describe the books that are very similar to yours. And then you can say, okay, yes, they do like that closed door romance, or they do like a nonfiction book with a lot of actionable tips to help you overcome this problem. So it helps you formulate what people are looking for.
I love that 3-star review thing. I've never thought about doing that. And I think it's a really creative way to find the right words, to not oversell, to not
Right.
promise things that aren't going to be for every reader. Let's be honest.
Yes, but
There's
you're
books my daughter
speaking.
loves that I'm like, really? Like, we're all different, so we can't promise to be everything to everyone. But looking at those kind of mid-road comments, I think that gives
Yes.
us a realistic promise that we can make, like closed door
Yes.
romance is closed door romance. It's a fact, not an opinion.
Right.
Mystery and
Exactly.
intrigue. Those are things that,
Exactly. It's in my
describe your
book. This is
genre in
what
your
it offers.
book, not the experience the reader's going to have with it. And I think that's
Mhm.
a good differential. Okay. So
Yeah.
you touched on this a little bit. Let's unpack it a little more. A couple of authors that I work with and that are in our group this is not their first project. So when is a good time to market and go back to my book? My first book is 2 years this month, just a couple weeks ago. What kind of marketing strategies do we want to implement long term? How, when is a good time? For me, I use the book birthday as a time to like re-bring it up and hey, I can't believe it's 2 years already. This book is still changing lives, or whatever. And
Yes,
you kind of want to
absolutely.
put it out there. But what are you mentioned having a second launch team, which I think is a great idea. What are some other things, once your book's been out there for a while, to keep it in front of people?
You can do your own personal birthday. Just dates on the calendar are good. Oh, this is my wedding anniversary. This book has something to do with marriage. Like let's beef it up. Let's talk about it again. Christmas in July is a good one.
Mhm.
Even just Thanksgiving. This is the beginning of the Christmas shopping season. Let's talk about my book again. There's a lot of very natural calendar events that help you keep that book in front of other people. Another thing is I'm just releasing a fiction book, right? But I'm not finished talking about my Bible studies and my business book. If you want to see some of the other work I've done, so I'm constantly pointing back, like, oh, there's more on the bookshelf. Be sure to visit my books page on my website. And so each new release is another reason to keep talking about your old releases as well, even if they're not related or even if they're not a sequel or a series. It's still a good time to just point people back. This is some of the work that I've done and finished in the past.
And it establishes your experience and credibility too. Because
Absolutely.
even if it's not the same genre,
Absolutely.
you've still published 7 books or whatever it is. Someday 7. I'm not there yet, but it does create that. Oh, this is an established author. This is, so that's good. I know one of the other things that I've been doing just recently is leaning into because I wrote nonfiction, so seasons of the church. Like I
Mm.
know fall is a good time for groups to launch. So I threw
Yes.
out a post
Yes.
about, hey, if you're looking for a Bible study or a discussion type topic for your small group at church, check out this book.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think another one I see a lot of authors do that's fun, and I've done it myself on occasion, is, how do you, for my birthday, you want to give me a birthday gift? Leave me a review if you've read my book. And I'm
Yes.
promoting the book by asking for reviews, but I'm still directing people who maybe aren't familiar with the book. So I think
Yes.
kind of those, I think I've seen it at Christmas and Thanksgiving too. What's the best Christmas gift you can give a writer? A review, that kind of thing. So I think those are good ways too, to not just say, hey, buy the book, but also, show your
Give an
support for
honest
the
review
book.
of the book.
Yeah.
And that's one of your best long-term marketing strategies is garnering those reviews and getting them posted on Amazon and Goodreads and letting people know honestly what they thought about that book. So it's a
I couldn't agree more. I think reviews are hard. To be
yeah.
honest, I didn't realize how hard they were going to be when I launched, and I thought for sure everybody on my launch team would just do one. But it goes back to they don't know what to say.
They don't know
And
what to say, so give them the words. And so
yeah,
one of the
and that's where
ways
I
to
didn't do
give
that
them the
right.
words
Yeah.
is to say, here are 5 different examples of things that you could say. So they're not just, this is the best book I ever read. This is, there's a lot of different ways to phrase their review, and they can pick and choose from each one of those 5 examples that you've given and create their own review from that. So as
Very
much
important.
work as you can do for the people that you're asking for help, the more apt they are to do that work for you. People are also very, very intimidated to write anything for a writer. I notice that when I get text messages from friends, even they say, may I do this? I'm like, I don't talk like that. Why are you using all this perfect grammar? Stop it. I don't even write like that. Right. And so one of the cards that I got at my friend's family event said, it's very daunting to write a card for an author. They're afraid to use their words in front of a word professional. So help them with that and make it easy and remind them, just be yourself. This doesn't require perfect grammar and perfect sentence structure. People just want to know what you thought of the book. And
If they
that's going
could
to be
only see our first drafts, right?
correct.
Our finished
Correct.
product is not where we started. Okay, let's just be
Yes.
real.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
So, I'm gonna go ahead and I want to thank you, Cathy, for being here. We're gonna open our
Certainly.
Q&A section in just a second, but I want to thank you. If you have any links to join your email list or anything like that, I love Cathy's emails. I'm only on, I think, 4 email lists still. I
Oh,
like unsubscribe from anybody, and Cathy is one of them because she's awesome. So if we can
I
get your
appreciate
link for
it.
that or anything else that you want to I'll drop it in the comments for people. But thank you so much for being here.